Welcome. This is Storytelling with the Storyteller, presented by Active. We are having conversations amongst intellectuals with an intellectual indeed this afternoon. Today on the panel we have the great Mr. Mandel Stoker. He is an author. He is an historian. He is a man of many. I'm going to let him speak for himself. Mr. Stoker, thank you for coming on this platform. Thank you for taking the time to share with us your plethora of historical knowledge. It is glad to have you.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure, and I'm honored to be here. I'm just happy to be able to tell stories that need to be told.
Amen. Amen. Let's start off getting to know you. Tell us a little bit about your childhood and your upbringing.
Well, I grew up in the country because I was born in Longview, Texas. Okay. But I grew up close by the airport, Gregg County Airport, back that way in the country. It was 10 of us, 10 children, plus our parents. And I was lucky because my parents provided for us the whole way. So I didn't have any problems there as far as parenting. In the country, we had challenging things that we didn't have, like running water. We didn't have running water when I was a small child. We didn't have that. But they still made sure that everything was okay. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was just fine. I didn't know any better. It was just nice. Growing up in the country with my siblings, 6 sisters and 4 boys.
Wow.
So
that indeed is a big family.
Yeah, it was nice. And then we called it Stoker Hill now because we had my daddy's sister raised her children right across the road from us, and his older brother had his children and grandchildren. They was right there on Stoker Hill. Then his parents, they had died, but they was right there across the road as well. So okay. It was pretty nice. I didn't have interactions with a whole lot of people, especially the whites. I didn't have a lot of interaction because the church was walking distance. Harris Chapel, Church of Christ, yeah, it was walking distance. We had one community store, I remember that, the Reese's, because it was owned by a white couple, we would call it a mom and pops. Yeah. Mom and pop store, that's what we called it, and that's why we got a grocery or whatever, and candy once a year, soda once a year, if you're lucky. Yeah. So, yeah. But we enjoyed it. I had a good time.
Good. I want to just get right into it. I know you have dedicated a big portion of your life to not only educating us on where we come from, but also providing opportunities for us to get out and to move further than where we are. I want to dig into your mind and to your knowledge bank and to talk a little bit about segregation and integration and your experiences on it, your knowledge of it. And do you think it was beneficial for our community to segregate or not beneficial for our community to segregate? What do you think?
Well, like I said earlier, I always had a good time being around black people, parents, other older black people, church, preachers in the church. I've always had a good time. I had a good time in the schools. I started school in 1964. The bus driver was a black man. And the community, when it picked up other children, they were black children coming out of black households. Yeah. And then we ended up going to the black school, and all my teachers was black. All my friends I played with was black. I had a great time when I started school. We used to go play recess. They call it recess. We go and have a good time. We had a good time. Then we integrated in 1969, I believe. I was in the 5th grade. That was my first time I would have interactions with white children my age. Yeah. And I would have white teachers as well. And that would be the first time. And I got to experience some racism. But Stoker is going to still have a good time. Yeah. But I did experience a little bit of that, racism. But back at the black schools, teachers, I got to experience teachers would whip you right then if you mess it up. Yeah. They take care of you right then. But at the white schools, they're a little bit different. Yeah, they would call your parents if you showing out or doing something you shouldn't be doing. And that was a difference at the white school. Your parents, they got their parents more involved. I guess they had to, but at the black school, no, they take care of you right there, in the room or in the hallway, whatever you mess it up.
Were the white teachers accepting of you all when you all integrated? Were they accepting of you all?
Well, I was a small kid. I was in 5th grade, and The only experience I had that seemed like the teacher would talk over our head, said they would talk to the other children, which were the white children. And said that we was on the black kids, said that we just be listening to their conversation. And the recess was different. Recess, it was more, I guess, supervised at the white school, but at the black school, we knew better. So we just go play and have fun. And I would quarterback. I kind of lead I was kind of quarterback having fun, on the field. And we got to the white schools. I remember experiencing fifth grade, you go out and quarterback. I want to be the quarterback. I'm doing so. The other guy, this white student, he wanted to quarterback sometimes. Okay, so we was having problems. We was having issues. We started having issues on the playground. So not realize I was kind of naive. I really naive. And the teacher had to come down. There was over the white teacher had to come down there. I never forget as long as I live. And he said, "Look, now you all get this straightened out, and I don't want to have to come back down here again." So by me being naive, I didn't know what he meant. So he left. We started having problems again. You know how kids are. Yeah. They gonna need jumping. They gonna need straightening out all the time. Yeah. And I was naive and realized it. And he came back down there, and we told him the problem. Okay, he took his board and wore me out. And I cried like a baby. I cried like a baby because I didn't think he had took sides. Right. And I didn't know why. I didn't understand what he meant when it gets straightened out. Because I wasn't exposed to that kind of stuff. Like I told you before, I always on Stoker Hill. I didn't have any problems with anyone. I didn't know it was a such thing as racism. I didn't know anything about that, but I experienced it that day. Right. And he let me know I need to learn, and I need to learn how to just back up.
Kind of stay in
your lane, right? Stay in your place. Right. And I was out of my place, and I didn't. That was my first time experiencing that, right. And I learned that. Not that I did that, because I'm still a rebel. I'm gonna go out here. That's not right.
Do you think that created a fire in you?
What type
of rebellion?
Well, it could. I never have given that much thought, but it could have. Yeah. It may have. I know what he was trying to get me to understand. It didn't work. Right. I know that much. Right. And I wasn't a mean guy. In fact, I didn't even hate him, the teacher. I didn't. It just society. That's the way it was.
Do you think integration has benefited the black community or harmed it?
In some ways, it may have helped, but in a lot of ways, I think it hurt. The discipline of our children. Sometimes we don't respect our elders like we need to. I don't know, man. Sometimes it's the best of times, and all the time it's the worst of times. Like I said, I think I'd have been better off. As a people, I think we'd been better off being segregated. Not that we hate the other races. I don't preach hate. Right. But being segregated, I just feel like we could have got more.
Yeah, my grandmother, she was a strong advocate of that as well. She often, repeatedly said that integration was the biggest mistake that ever happened to the black community. She deeply believed that. And
it's like Martin Luther King said, he used to all that marching, but when it was over with, he said, "I've led the people into a burning house."
Yes, he did.
So you've done all of this, but it may not be what's best for you. Right. Thurgood Marshall, he was the NAACP lawyer, and he did the board of 1954 Board of Education. He ended up tearing down Jim Crow in 1954 because he won it. He won in the courtroom. Right. And everything, because it's illegal. Now it's illegal to discriminate against black. Yeah. But 1904 on back to what was 1895, 1986, it was illegal. It was actually legal in the United States to discriminate against blacks, against any race, Hispanic, Mexican, Indian. It's okay to do it until 1954. But it was that best with Thurgood Marshall. He was a smart lawyer. Yes. He was so smart they had to put him on the Supreme Court. So that's not an accident. They're thinking, we're going to get him on our side. He done tore down this Jim Crow. We're going to bring him over here and let him sit. He'll be the first black to ever sit on the Supreme Court. So if he's that smart, we'll get him on our side.
Right, right.
But, you know, that's what it was, and, hey, that's what happened.
Do you think those type of political moves are still being made? I noticed that, and I'm not knocking the advancements that our culture have gained, but I do think that a lot of times the motives behind the gain is more for the enemy than it is for us. Like in the example of Thurgood Marshall, he was a phenomenal lawyer, and so he was placed on the Supreme Court, and we saw it as a victory. But behind the doors of that, he was being beneficial. He was being beneficial for them.
Exactly.
And so a lot of times I can't necessarily get with the hip hip hooray of the black people when we get in places that we haven't been before, because I'm always thinking, what is the hidden motive? What is the hidden agenda? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, you can go back to when Obama made president. Right. First African American to be president. Oh man, we turned down this racism, no more. Right. He was there for 8 years. We slept. The black people in this country slept for 8 years.
I agree.
The United States can't be all that bad because we've got a black president. No, you're not doing anything. I mean, what did you do? What has he done? Yeah. I mean, I don't want him to pass where I can get free stuff. That's not what I want. I want a job. I want you to treat me right if I got a job. I don't want you throwing me around, kicking me around. Right. Don't do that. I want you to help the black community. See, back in the day, 1819, during the race riot, yes, Southside was a striving place. Blacks, those kind of places are still dead. Yeah. They're still dead. You can go to Chicago. I mean, you go there, you got gangs. In California, you got all kind of gangs. He didn't address those kind of things. Those kind of things were not addressed in those 8 years. They was taken care of in those 8 years because we slept. So I guess we want to get into politics, but you ask me, am I a Democrat or Republican? And like I tell her later, I'm an American. I guess I'm just an American. I'm not either one of them.
So am I. And during our experience of being Americans, black Americans, there's been a lot of trials and a lot of tribulations that I'm sure you have seen firsthand. Can you tell me a couple that just absolutely stand out for you of years of your experience in them?
Repeat that question.
The trials and tribulations that you have visually experienced, physically experienced all these years while you've been living. Can you name a couple that have really stood out in your mind that are unforgettable trials and tribulations that you've seen for our people and for yourself?
For our people, trials and tribulations, kind of like what we've already talked about. They're sneaky. We don't see it happening. That's what makes me feel bad. We don't see it happening, and we don't want to hear. It's gotten to the point we don't even want to hear it. If you try to explain the deaf ears, I think it's on there. The deaf ears that we have, and we have some deaf ears. They don't even want to hear it. It's like I told you about this genealogy deal. There's people that still can't remember even what it was. That's the part that's sad, and the tricks, like the Thurgood Marshall we talked about, even the Obama being president. We're so quick to go to sleep and say it's okay, it's okay. Those things hurt. Those things hurt me the most. And the tribulations, we suffer. We're still a suffering people. Now I'm doing okay. They can't miss me. Well, I'm okay. You okay? But everyone's okay. But what about the ones that you still walk on the streets that don't have any hope at all? I hate seeing those kind of things, but they're there, and I know why they're there. They're not there by happenstance or accidents.
Is that the source of your passion?
Well, the source of my passion, man, I feel like that this book, I was passionate about it because it was old. It was on me a long time.
Tell us a little bit about that book. Tell us a little bit about your book.
Okay, this book is a page taken out of 1919, the Red Summer. All that's happened the same year. And this book was the second event that happened that caused Red Summer to even happen. Be named Red Summer. This was the second one on the south side, Longview, Texas, about the black guy and the white girl from Kilgore. And I for years, I thought someone's sooner or later is going to write a story about this some kind of way.
Yeah.
But I didn't know it was going to be me. I didn't know it was going to be me. I didn't go to journalism school. I didn't do that kind of thing. But I said, well, shucks, it needs to be written. No one will ever write anything about it. So I said, I just write a story about it then. Wow. And that's what I did. I would work 2 or 3 hours in the nighttime, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I'd be writing. Yeah. I may get writer's block. I may just have to sit there for about, maybe 30 minutes or an hour, just sitting there. But playing this certain song that I like. I had to play a certain song that I would play. Gee Whiz is the name of the song, Marlon Thomas.
Gee Whiz, Marlon.
Gee Whiz. And if for some reason it could get me to write and I could concentrate, it had to be real quiet. Nothing but the music playing, nothing but that song playing. And I could actually write and I could have my things together. I knew when I wanted LaMail to come to Texas. He was in Chicago. I wanted to come to Texas. I knew when I wanted him to even get killed. I had to write, but I had to lead up to that. Yeah. And it was fun writing this book. It was fun writing the book because it was based on a true story, so I enjoyed it.
You had to do actual physical interviews. You went out, found real people. How did you get all your necessary information? Was everything in the library?
Yeah, a lot of the information that you can find is in the library. Mm-hmm. That's why I started there, because my uncle told me about this back. He was 6 years old, I think, when that happened.
Okay.
And I always wondered, how did he know about it? How did he know about it? But his daddy used to talk about it, and his daddy was a deacon at the church where one of the preachers were that lived in Long Beach. He was Mr. Cooksey. I don't know if you heard of Mr. Cooksey or not. But he used to walk around. They had a curfew and everything. He knew everything that was going on over here in Long Beach. And his dad was pretty close, deacon and preacher and all that. And that's, I don't know, I just want to write it. I mean, it was just, so it needed to be written. It needed to be written. Something needed to have to be said about 1919 race riot here in Longview, Texas.
Now, when you say something had to be said about it, by that you mean you felt like not too many people were aware of exactly what happened with this particular couple, or the Red Summers in general?
The Red Summer, the couple, or the race riot, is so many people still don't know about it, because we did the play and we had a good turnout. The play, people saying they was excited because they didn't know anything about it. Yeah. They didn't know anything about what had happened in 1819. But history can be covered up real quick. Right. It could be covered. I found that out because we had the same thing happen in 1810 in East Texas, over here in Palestine, called the Stoker massacre, and they were all kind of the same thing. Same reasons. Yeah. They were finding reasons to hate. And then we can go all the way back to 1860, I believe, in Dallas, Texas, and a lot of Dallas was burned down. Yeah. But the whites got together just for the Civil War. And the whites got together and said, look, it's got to be blamed. It's somebody's fault. And the three black leaders in that community, in that city, in that place, they had to be hanged, they had to be killed. Yeah. Right not too far from where John F. Kennedy, you familiar with John F. Kennedy's assassination in Dallas? Absolutely. Okay, well, it was just a few yards from where he was. They hung those guys in 1860 for burning down Dallas, for being responsible for burning down Dallas. That was in 1860, so you still had slavery, right? So they said, look, we can't kill all these slaves. We'll lose it because cotton was big. Mm-hmm. We need someone to pick this cotton. Mm-hmm. So, okay, well, we just pick out 3 of these guys. We'll pick out the 3 leaders. And we'll hang them. But the rest of y'all, we're just going to beat you up, we're going to whip you, and let you keep picking cotton. Yeah. We've had those things, so it's nothing new about what's happening. Right. It's nothing new.
And the Red Summers happened in several parts of the South and other parts at the same time, of the United States at the same time. What do you think, because we know it was racism, we know it was post-slavery time, and it was several states that particular summer that were called the Red Summer, where it was total upheaval against black people. What do you think was what they all had in common during that particular time? Because the Spanish flu was also going on at this time, correct? And so what do you think, before I get to my second part of the question, what do you think triggered all of that in the country at that time in so many states?
The same thing that would happen exactly right now. If it happened right now, the same thing would happen. Arkansas, Elaine, Arkansas was one of the places in the Red Summer. The blacks were doing good. They were forming. They were doing their thing. They was prosperous. They make the economy for the blacks were good. Mm-hmm. They killed that one of the reasons. That's one of the worst that summer. Yeah. Now people know Elaine, Arkansas. Yeah. They took those brothers, I don't call them brothers, they took those black men to court. I mean, that's how organized they was in killing those guys. Same thing happened in Longview. Longview was a striving economically over on the South Side. Yeah. They were doing good. We gotta make a reason. We gotta kill them. We gotta kill these guys. Yeah. We gotta burn it down. Same way in Stoker in 1910. What even 1919? Let's go to 1910 in Stoker, Palestine. Boom. They doing good. They got their own store. They doing their own thing. We're gonna. Hey, this society cannot have this. Okay. Even in 1921, after the Red Summer, you've heard of the Black Wall Street in Oklahoma. The same thing. Those blacks were doing well. Yes. They were doing good. How the oil fields, the guys, they coming in, they're getting paychecks, they're putting it in church, the black church, boom, they put it in the black bank. They had a black bank. They had the black banks. We don't have those now. Mm-hmm. We had black banks and black businesses. It'll get burned down today. Mm-hmm. We haven't gone anywhere. Mm-hmm. That haven't gone anywhere. Right. Start a black bank in Longview, Charlotte. Really, I'm serious. Right. I start one in Oklahoma. I start one in Elaine, Arkansas. Jenkins County, Georgia. They Ruffin. They killed him. He just had a couple of mules. Mm-hmm. He was doing, and the church was doing decent. He didn't get to make it. I think that might have been the first race riot because back then you didn't talk hardly back to the white race. You stay in your place. You get out of your place when you come uppity. You just doing your thing. You're just trying to do better. You're not uppity. You're not trying to hurt anyone. But that's what they had in common, ma'am. Anytime you look around and you read about it, those black communities economically was moving up, was doing well. 1919, the World War I ended in 1918, right? A lot of our black soldiers, they got a lot of fame over in France. But they were coming back to the United States. We're going to take our place. Not that we're going to come home and one. Right. We're just going to take our place. The whites said we're going to put them back in their place. Yeah. We got to put these black people back in their place. And we had a lot of killing, a lot of fighting in 1919. Corn, the Red Summer, like I was telling about James Weldon Johnson, called it the Red Summer because of that.
Perfect coin. He coined that perfectly. Yes. I find it sad that much killing was going on with us during an entire pandemic that was going on at that time. And so when I think about the time where we just left, which is 2020, which is 1 year later than 100 years ago, but to see the climate during the pandemic, and we had so many protests, so many racial riots, so many black people getting murdered, so much injustice going on, all in the middle of a pandemic. And I thought, this is what happened in 1919. And it boggles me as just a human being, especially a black African woman, person, humanitarian, whatever, that during sickness, we still find the time to hate those that we fear. That's baffling to me. Instead of us being worried about what we can do to heal, not just as a nation, but each other, we were finding ways to slit each other's throat. And history repeated itself all over again, 100 years later, again, during the pandemic, and we are still the ones being set on fire. And so in my mind, the second Red Summer happened in 2020. I've always thought that.
Well, they put us to sleep. And we've been asleep we've been pretty well asleep since 1954. As a black race, we've been asleep. We're not doing anything. Look at the loop out there, Loop 21 out there, everything at the mall. Mm-hmm. The stores, the restaurants. Everything is out there, but on this side over here, we don't have many. We don't have many stores over here. Right. But if we did start having stores over here, you'll see it. You will see a problem. You will see it, but we've been asleep. We think, especially our young children, they don't have the sight that I have or the vision. They'll tell you quick. They'll tell you, curse you out. Tell them don't go to Applebee's. Don't go to some of those restaurants out there. Mm-hmm. You know, But I try to patronize Divine Catering the best I can, and Fat Boys. I try to patronize it the best I can. But you know, I'm just one person. I'm gonna do what I can do.
Right.
So that's all we can do.
Right. Right.
You know. So, but the red summer will be right back on us if we moved out of our place, in our place.
Right.
It will be right back here.
I noticed that you said we're asleep, and you said that a couple of times. And I agree that we are asleep. What's funny is that we now consider ourselves woke. This term that we're all throwing around, woke, 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 and basically it means black people have our third eye open and we're seeing exactly the importance of us and what we are supposed to be. So if we're so woke, why are we operating as a sleep people?
We're sleeping, don't know it. We think we woke. You're not woke. I mean, you're not woke. You're asleep. They think they're woke. They're falling in a trap. Mm-hmm. And the only way you can get out of it, like I said, I don't know how you feel about voting and all of that kind of thing, but we're almost out of style. I mean, but if I told the wrong person that, they said, "But that guy, that's crazy." Right. They look at me as a crazy guy. Right. And the reason I said this voting is out of style, it haven't got you anywhere. Amen. Voting haven't got us anywhere, but I know what will get us somewhere if we stick together and put our money together, pool our money together, pool our resources together. Then we can make deals. Mm-hmm. But you go to that vote, I vote for him, I vote for him. He ain't gonna be able to do anything for you. When it come down to it, they already got him set. But when we pool our resources together, take care of ourselves, our families, kids, money, we're gonna put it in a bank. We don't have a black bank, we don't have a black school, we don't have a black hospital, we don't have a black nothing. So you're asleep. You're gonna go buy this fancy car. You could ask me, you got to be a slave on the job because you got to do certain things because you got to pay $500-$600 a month for that car. Right. So you got to listen to them. Me, I drive the kind of car I drive, and I get it fixed. Okay, I don't have to listen to you. I mean, I don't mean when you always speaking in general, but no, I don't have to do that. Yeah. You know, but when you sit up there, you got a $500, $600 note on that car, and you trying to fool me like you're doing well, and you stressed out. I know you stressed out. I'm really not that impressed. I see you, I'm not.
Yeah, me either. What impresses me generally does not impress other people. Let me ask you this, brother. How do you think have we grown as a culture since the Red Summers? Do you think we've grown any?
No, I think we've gone backwards.
I agree.
Because the reason I said that, because in 1919, you could have gone to the south side. You could have gone up to the red side. You could have went to the restaurant. You got you something to eat. You could have went to someone's house, and they'll treat you nice. That doesn't happen anymore. That's gone. That's not here. And we'll run out to, like I said, on the side over there where all the restaurants are. We think that's how the world should work. It shouldn't work like that. It should work over here as well. But it's not here. It's not here. And this is just one of the places. Dallas, you go to Dallas, you can see certain areas the same way. You go to Houston, you can see the same thing. So it's in the United States. It's not just here in Texas. It's everywhere. So no, what we woke? The reason I say that, I don't see anything. I think better off. You say I think we're better off. I don't see anything. Now we don't have to have this phone anymore. I guess what I'm talking about. Now we don't have this. When I was growing up, you might have one phone in the house.
Yeah, explain to the viewers what that is.
This is what the phone looked like back in my day. And there was 2 party lines, someone could listen to you and everything. No such thing as a cell phone. No. None of that. This was your phone and you dial. Yes. And I still know my phone number is still the same when I was a little kid. My mother still has the same number. Really? Yeah, so I already remember that.
Rotary phone, yep. That's I remember my grandmother, 753-5567. And at that time, we didn't even have area codes. You just dialed the 753-5567. Yep.
Right. You know, we didn't have those. And everyone didn't have one of these in the house.
Sure.
Just because you had a house, that doesn't mean you had a phone.
You had a phone. That's right.
You know, hey, you got a telephone call.
That's
Somebody
right.
wants you. That's how that worked.
That's true.
But now everyone's got a phone. I got it now too. I got a phone. I got to have it.
Yeah.
Because society has to keep up. You better have it.
Yeah.
So.
Do you think the technological advancements have helped our culture?
Yes and no. Yes and no. I mean, you can use it for good, the technology, or you can use it for bad. And there are people that use it for bad.
Yeah.
And good and bad. So yeah, technology I think is a great thing. I mean, technology I think is great.
I think it's great too. I noticed that a lot of our culture is using it, and they're creating their own businesses, and they're creating websites, and it appears that they're doing good. But when you talk to them individually, it still feels selfish, and everybody's doing good with the technology that they're using, but nobody's combining what they're gaining from the technology that they're using. We're still also separated. So it's beautiful to be able to create a website, or it's beautiful to be able to launch your business or use your iPhone to shoot a film. But once that's done, what are you going to do to unify us? Because we can individually grow as high as we want to grow. But until we collectively do something, then we just wasting our time. So I don't know. I feel like we were better people when we had to go down the street to tell Miss Johnson she had a phone call, rather than upset of people where everybody has a cell phone.
Well, like I said, I just shouldn't be back there, but I can't. We can't keep up. Even the films we have here, we got the storyteller active. It wasn't possible in 1919 for you to sit up and get the word out. It's so much history that is hid that we'll never know. Because it wasn't recorded. Because it wasn't designed. It wasn't a thing to do.
And this is where you step in.
Right. I'm gonna try to do it exactly.
Right.
I'm trying to do it as much as I can while I'm here before I leave. I'm trying to do it as much as I can because I know it's a lot of history that's lost. Right. Like, real quick, like in 1821, that's when the United States got Florida. See, they didn't get us that. See, we thought, oh, he's been down there all the time. Mammoth's been down there all the time. No. It was Seminoles down there. They call them, it was two Seminoles down there, the Indian Seminoles and the Black Seminoles. It was blacks been in Florida ever since the 1700. Yeah. Free people. Black people, they were born, raised, died right there in Florida. But you couldn't get in there and get them out of there because it was guerrilla warfare. But they didn't put any of this in the history books. We know nothing about this. But if it wasn't for technology, I wouldn't know anything about it. No one never taught me about the Black Seminoles. They were living in Florida for years. Yeah, I didn't know anything about John Horse. I didn't know anything about Abraham raiding the plantations up in Georgia. Way back then, getting recruits coming down there. They told us about Harriet Tubman, Underground Railroad going to Canada, but they never said anything about Abraham going to the South with slaves because they couldn't take him out. They couldn't get him out of there. There's a lot to him and trick him.
Tell us a little bit about Abraham, for those of us that don't know.
Abraham, actually Abraham in Florida years ago, he worked with John Horse, and I can't think of that Indian name. What was his name? Well, anyway, it was an Indian. Okay, Abraham's job, he was a black guy. Yeah. His job was to go raid the plantation in Georgia, maybe South Carolina. He would raid those and bring them back down to Florida, and had an army. They could, and the United States couldn't get them out. They couldn't get those guys. They spent more money. A lot of people don't realize this. They spent more money than any other United States. Yeah. They spent more money than any other war they ever had up until the Vietnam War. The Civil War cost them less than what they spent trying, and they still didn't win. Really? And they still didn't win, but it's not in the history books. We don't know about it. But I read about the Black Seminoles in Florida. I don't know if you look at football much, but college football, they got the Miami, what do you call them? Any football players in here? Miami,
Dolphins.
No, it's college. It's the Miami Hurricane. I know they got the Florida Gators. But anyway, that guy that was riding that horse, you remember, y'all probably seen him riding the horse, he's just mascot. Well, that was actually a real person. I didn't know that either. There was actually a real. He was doing a real person imitation of the guy on the horse. Yeah. But it was an Indian. But John Horsham, he was great with horses. That's how he got the name, because he ended up coming. It's a long story. It's another story. He ended up coming to the territory, the Indian territory, which is now Oklahoma, and they tricked him. And then they ended up making a slave out of him. Tried to, but he took some people in the doors that we get out of here. We're going to Mexico, where they treated him like free men. And he got down there. He was real good with horses, and the Mexicans called him Horse, John Horse. That's how he got that name. That's the John Horse. That's where he got that name from, because he was the Mexican. Anyway, I know you heard of the Seminole Scouts, all that kind of deal there. We got Seminole Scouts down here in Texas. They helped the Buffalo Soldiers. You heard of Buffalo Soldiers before? Yes. We've heard of the Buffalo Soldiers, and the Seminole Scouts. They were one that was scouting for the Buffalo Soldiers. So, and they all come out of Florida down there. There's great history down there, in Florida. A lot of history in Florida. We just don't know anything about it. They just never did tell us anything about those Black Seminoles, John Horse, and Abraham. They just didn't tell us about that.
Why did you want to become a historian?
So, I don't know. I'm just being honest with you, quick. I look at it like I was born to be placed in certain spots. Yeah. I think I got to do certain things before I leave here. It's just that simple. Yeah. I've got to do certain things. You've got to do certain things. Mr. Poole, he's here for a certain reason. Yeah. It's not by accident that you're here. Yeah. It's not by accident. We're here for a reason. I'm here for a reason. But as far as why did I want to be... You think it was your calling? I think it was. I just didn't know it. Yeah. I didn't know it. I wish all the times I could have been recording or keeping things. I tell people right now, just save anything. If you got something, just save it. Yeah. Save it, save that bottled water. Because 25, 30 years from now, they won't make that kind. It won't make it. So, now, a historian, I didn't start out being a historian when I was a boy. I didn't, but I think I have a passion to save things, and history. I have. That's why I used to take photos. That picture you saw of my brother Bradley, and sister Bradley, I don't want to take that. I take a lot of pictures. You took that particular picture? Yeah. Really? I told y'all, come on out here, let me get your picture. I get it. That was before all these cell phones come out with all these different pixels, you know. Yeah. I had a camera. A camera did it, you know. That's before the cell phone deal, you know. I had all those pixels and things. But I don't know. I guess it's always been in me to try to save things. Save it. Let someone else see it when I'm gone, dead and gone. I hate to say dead, but we all gonna die, so that's just part of life. So it's like your gift that you give back. Right. I try to give back. I mean, I spend if I have to, I would spend my own money. I've had people ask me, well, Mandel, who's helping you finance this? Who's helping you do this? You know, because I travel to Galveston, Fort Worth, Lufkin, and Marshall. I'm going all the time. Been down to there's a long ways down there. My car, tearing up down. My God, I didn't mind. I had to spend some money to get out of there, way down there, making something. But I mean, that's that passion, though. Right. Now, if I didn't have the passion, so I'm not spending my time nor my money. You know, and that Bubba asked me yesterday. He texted me and said, "Man, they need to know something about tonight." Shucks, I said, "I sell that. I sell that right then." I said, "Boom, we all right. We good." So I wasn't gonna do no more waiting. Yeah. I mean, he said he need to let the film people know. I said, that's it then. I'm going to let Bubba know. Hey, I'll be here at 2:00. Do you think the gift that you're giving back to us? Do you think it will be honored? Maybe now people tend to appreciate things when you're gone. And they say, well, we know he can't do that again. Let's look at this. Your own people that you see, your peers you see, may not even appreciate it. They may not. But later on, say 100 years from now, somebody look at and say, hey, well, this is some good stuff here. I'm glad I read that about the Black Seminoles. I don't know who wrote it. I don't know who kept up with that stuff. Right. I don't know who kept up with John Horse, Abraham, the Indian down there, the blacks. I don't know who did that. Someone did it. Someone had to keep up with that history, and I get to read about it. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about your book, Foot Switch. That's the name of the book. Tell us a little bit about the main characters in there, and I know you kind of hit a little bit about what it was about, but for the viewers that have not had the privilege of reading this book, could you just tell us a little bit about it? Find one in there and I can talk about. Now I know Lamel is the main character. Lamel Walters, the black guy that was killed. Can you find
The character?
Yeah, just find a name in there and I can elaborate.
Okay, tell me a little bit about Mrs. Harris.
Okay, Miss Harris, she represents, actually, my mother-in-law, she's dead now. She used to keep students, lady students or girl students come down. That's what she would do. That was Miss Harris' role. That was her role in the book. She was going to keep Megan, the white girl, going to school from Kilgore. Boom, she's got that. She's going to stay with Miss Harris. Miss Harris was going to take her in, and the parents were going to pay her a certain money to keep her. That was Miss Harris' role. But she ended up, they had a good relationship. They were close to each other.
Megan and Miss Harris?
Yes, they were real close. Kind of like almost like mother and daughter kind of relationship. They was real close.
And Miss Harris was a black.
No, Miss Harris actually was a slave. When she grew up on slave plantations, and of course her daddy was white, so she looked white. Okay. So that's what that was. Now people, the kids go, they thought that she was a white woman, but she wasn't. Her mother was black.
She could pass.
Yeah, she could pass, right? And she did. And she used her color, her physical looks to her advantage. Mm-hmm. She used her advantage. She wasn't a bad woman. She just used her. Okay, I'm white. That's just the way that was. But actually, she was a slave.
What other story stands out here in Longview? Is there anything else major happened during that Red Summer besides this with the interracial couple and their love?
Well, like in my deal, we talked about the cotton. Cotton was always important back then because it was like gold, But we weren't in control of it. We could plant it, harvest it, but we wasn't making a lot of money off of it. The whites were still making money off the white gold cotton, And one of the things they probably had a guy named Dr. Davis, and he was encouraging, showing the black guys, go ahead and skip the brokers here in the Longview area. Take your cotton that you got planted and you go straight to Galveston, Texas. And they was having a problem with that because he's supposed to get that black man money. He's supposed to be getting it, not him. And that was a problem. Matter of fact, that probably was the main problem. We used that. That has been used. Those kind of things have been used to tear you down. The main thing was it was economically. He wanted the black man money, and he couldn't get it because Dr. Davis had to leave town. Dr. Davis had to leave town because they ended up burning his house down. They burned Professor Jones' home down over in the South Side. They burned all those guys' places down, and they was going to hang them. They was going to be killed. But they had to go to Chicago, Cook, Illinois. That's why he ended up raising the rest of his family. His wife had kids, and that's why they live in Cook County, Illinois. So that's why he was.
So they left and went to.
He had to.
Chicago.
You can't come back to Longview. Okay. You come to Longview, you will be killed. But I found out though in my research, he did come back to Longview because he had a daughter that was down here. In fact, Willie Mae, I think she had died. His first wife had died, and they had a little girl. When I found out, I thought all my research, you found out Willie, he had a daughter, so he was going to come back to see his daughter. So he came back. They just didn't know he was back.
How long did it take things to calm down here in Longview after that Red Summer? Did it take a while?
They'll say it calmed down almost immediately because we had so many National Guards and Texas Rangers down here. That's what they say. We have to go by what they say now. I have to go by what we read, but it probably calmed down because I'm telling you, when you start talking about, they had about 5 or 6 Texas Rangers to come down for little Longview. Then you got those airplanes coming down with National Guardsmen. That means there was some bad stuff here in Longview. The worst that they'll ever tell us. See, they won't let us know, but it was awful in Longview, Texas, for Texas Rangers to be sitting there.
It had to be for them to come.
Yes, and for the governor to get involved in it, Governor Hobby at that time to get involved, it was pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
I would love to know some more things that had happened during that time, because I know it had to be.
It was bad. It was bad. And they left so much out, and that's it. We can only read but what they got for us to read. And then the blacks a lot of the blacks wouldn't talk about it anymore because it was that bad. It was so bad the blacks wouldn't even talk about it anymore. So the history leaves. It's gone. I mean, we don't.
Fear often silences.
Fear, yes. They didn't want the children to talk about it because they didn't want to get in trouble.
Right.
They love their children, and they just gonna be. It was just gonna hard to get interviews. Now, this is what I do wish. Was I wish I could have talked to people back in the 70s, 80s, because they were still here. A lot of them were still here at that time. But no, for some reason, I don't know, no one in Longview, no one was trying to do anything. So I don't know. But in the 70s, I still could have got a lot of people.
Well, I believe you with this, just writing this book and just you keep talking about it, I believe a lot more is going to come up. I believe in that because people do hide secrets and keep secrets. And they may not be talking, but they will start to talk. And you planting the seeds for that. It's going to come out. You can't hide the truth forever. You can't suppress it forever. It is designed to reveal itself. So it's only a matter of time. Yeah, it's only a matter of time. Tell me a little bit about PVIL.
PVIL. Okay, that's PVIL, Peer Review. Peer Review Intergalactic League of color schools. Back in the day, back when I was starting school. And those schools shut down in 1970. Actually, what happened was the Red Summer was in 1919, right?
Yes.
Okay, in 1920, they got together. The government got together and said, look here, we're going to separate the black people, the black kids, from the white kids. It's going to be illegal for whites to go to black schools. It's going to be illegal for blacks to go to white school.
Yeah.
That started PVIL. So they started, it was something else when they first started it, but later on PVIL. And they started those schools. They lasted from 1920, 1 year after the Red Summer, 1920, all the way up to 1970. I think when I was in the 5th grade. That's when they finally shut all the doors of black schools. And they ended up tearing a lot of them down. A lot of them still stand, but a lot of them have been torn down. And they'll tear down some more. You know, but that's why I was so lucky that people in Lufkin, Dunbar, the Dunbar school is still there. And it's several schools. As a matter of fact, Pemberton up in Marshall, the school is still there. We're just so grateful that those schools there, that someone can go there and talk about it. Talk about those things. PVIL. Now, we talk about the PVL, Prairie View College. They will house all the things. Now, like the Texas Longhorn, Texas and Austin, they over the UIL, like what you all grew up with now. Like when I graduated, UIL. But people graduated in 66 and 67, like that. Boom, that PVIL. Okay, now, and I also went to sports like football, state championships, basketball, state championships going to be played right down here in at the Prairie View College. Because that was for blacks. They're for blacks. And everything you did was, Prairie View was housing it and keeping it for black people, for the blacks. So the PVIL schools, what I was interviewing and things in Pemberton, those are PVIL schools. They was under the PVIL, not the UIL, not the University Intergalactic League. Prairie View Intergalactic League for the colored people. So that's it. And it happened right after 1919. When they said, hey, that's enough of that. Look at y'all old school, you ain't coming over here.
Do you think PVIL should have? Do you think they need to keep rolling? Do you think we need to get that back? What do you think? Do you think they could be beneficial for us right now?
No, I don't think so. It's so much out there now. The genie has been let out of the bottle, and you can't put it back in. There's a lot of blacks who feel like they need to go to white schools to get the proper education. They got the best stuff. They got the best facilities. Now, get back to that. Now, the PVIL, like Martin Luther King said, I led my people to a burning house. Even Thurgood Marshall, 1954 Brown versus Board of Education. Even all this stuff worked. But I like we said again, was it best? Was it the best thing? Did we just go to sleep? That's what it seemed like we did. Just went to sleep. So,
what do you think it's going to take to wake us up?
Well, I'm just being honest with you, man. Something is going to wake us up. I just don't know what it is. It might be dead. It might be 100 years from now. But we're going to come back. I just feel like we will get back where we're supposed to be. I just don't. It's gonna take something, but I don't know what it is. Cause saying we still going the wrong way right now.
Yeah.
We're still going the wrong way. But I think one day, I think we'll come back.
And what do you think we're gonna do when we get back?
I think we're gonna be. It's important to teach each other, to talk to each other. We don't do that now. We're so quick to look down on the other guy. Yeah. That's what we've been tricked. Yes. Well, we coming in this country, we're slaves. The slave was taught to look down on other slaves. Yeah. As a people, as a free people right now, that's what we do. We can't wait to look down on our brother and our sister. We can't wait to do that. It makes us feel better, I guess. But as soon as we feel like that don't count, that stuff don't matter anymore. We need to look at each other and try to help each other. And I got a brother down, try to get him up. Get him up. Our sister, try to get him up. Don't do that. But soon we can stop doing that kind of thing, I think we'll be all right. It's a mind thing. Stop looking down on your brothers and your sisters. It's just a mind thing.
I agree with you. I do think it's definitely a mind thing, because when you look at other cultures, they don't do it. And I know other cultures have experienced their own forms of things happening to them as well. But, and not to say we suffered the worst, but I do believe we suffered the worst. And I think the damage to us has been the worst. And so I think if we do just start restoring back our righteous mind, then we would be able to actually see some differences here. And until we get economic power, how do you see us on the chessboard amongst other races without economic power?
Well, now, the blacks in the United States, we spend trillions of dollars a year. We spend a lot of money.
But not together.
Now, the money is there. No, we spend it out.
Right.
We don't spend money in. It's like I was saying, using an example of the loop out there. Why don't we come over here and spend some money with ourselves? We won't do that, but what's a lot of money being spent? Okay, chicken. Let's just say chicken, for instance, or restaurants. The blacks eat, they got the data. The blacks eat more chicken than anyone in the United States. Why don't we have a black chicken establishment? I like chicken. I like it. I like it to eat it. I'm not going to lie about that, but I want to go buy. Can I go buy from a black establishment? It's just that simple. I mean, but if they're not going to have a black establishment, I'm going out to the other on Highway 80 and go ahead and go to Eden. That's what Stoker's going to do. But we got to put it together. We got to put our money together. Now, we might say certain restaurants over here, they're not quite as nice as the one out here on the loop. They got all these television screens, all these waitresses coming in, giving you all that food and stuff. You're going to end up paying about $35, $40 if you got a couple, if you're a couple. Okay, but why don't, we got to learn as people. We got to learn, maybe if I go to a black establishment and it's not as nice as the one over there, it's the reason for it's not nice. Know what the reason is? Because we don't patronize, spend money there. Mm-hmm. They'd be patient. The service might not even be that good. You know, the rate, she might not even be that nice. But he can't afford to get anybody else because he don't have any money. Mm-hmm. Put the money over there. Keep putting it over there. Keep doing keep doing your part to give him money. And one day he might can fix that leak up there. Mm-hmm. He may have the money to fix it, but as long as you're running your money on the other side, he ain't gonna never have the money to really fix this place up. He can't even go out and hire people. Mm-hmm. Since you say his service is bad, since you say his waitress is bad, he got to hire. He can't afford anybody else. And that's what we got to realize. We got to start thinking like that. Right. You're thinking like that. I mean, we just got to be patient with one another.
And so you feel like we do have economic power?
I know we got it. We're just not putting it. We're not putting it there. We've got it. Okay. That the genie, like I said, I used a minute ago, the genie has been let out of the bottle. Right. We're free. We've got the money. Right. The money is there. Right. We just got to collectively come together and have patience with one another. Stop being so quick to look down. Well, they ain't going to that restaurant because they didn't do this, they didn't do that. They got the money, they can go somewhere else. It's their money. It's their money, they can take it anywhere. And
until we do that, though, we're powerless.
This is what I'm saying. One day, even by us sitting here talking, doing this, one day someone may can see these kind of things and say, okay, I'm looking at it, and it makes sense. I think I'm making sense. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Be patient. Be patient and stop looking down on each other so quick.
What would you say to people that say, We don't have time for patience. That the time is at hand. The time is now. We're running out of time, and if we don't get it together, we're gonna lose big time. What would you say to those type of people?
They said the time
That
is
we've
now.
been patient and we prayed enough. It's time for action.
Well, I don't know, man. What kind of action? What can you do? What can I do? I don't know to man. Just do your. I would. This what I would say. Like I was saying now, just do your part. I do my part. I'm over here with you. We're together. We're active, doing his thing. We just got to do our thing. You know. I wish I got enough. I'm not rich, but I could put my I could put my money in a black bank. Some of it, but we don't have any around. Is that my deal? Is that my deal? Banking and stuff and account? No, that's not my thing. There, it's not your thing. Your thing is doing what you're doing. And that's what you was called for. I wasn't called to have own a bank. I wasn't called to cook in a restaurant. That's not my thing. Active. He's doing his thing. We just need other people to find out their niche and do it. We've got people that got restaurants. Have patience with those people. They like doing what they're doing. They have a passion to do that. And we got to do our part. I got to do my part. My part now is to do what we're doing now, and my part is go give them money. Or go pay what I'm gonna. That's my job. But we got to do something now. You're already doing something. Active's already doing something. Mr. Stoker, he's already doing something. When I did the genealogy of the family, I spent so much time and money. Get my nephew here went to the technology part. Man, I spent so much time and money on that, and they looked at it. You think somebody came and asked me, said, well, I'm talking about family members now, I'm talking about blood. You go, well, here you $5-10 for your gas. I know you spent a lot of money. Well, you pay $700 for that. You pay $700 for that television. Well, here we'll get you something for it. That's not gonna happen. But I still have my passion. You can't take that from me. I don't care if you even tell me thank you. My passion's still there. Yeah. I still like it. Still love it. So that's what that is. You know? And like I said, remember this: you are doing your part. You've already you doing your part. I'm doing my part. Active, y'all doing y'all part.
Do you think the information falls on deaf ears?
Right, I know it does.
Okay, so let me ask you a question, Brother Stoker. If the information is falling on deaf ears, although we're doing our part and it's falling on deaf ears, what is the motivation, not for us in particular, but for someone that may be listening or someone that may run across this? I'm doing my part, it's falling on deaf ears. If it's on deaf ears, I'm not being heard, I'm not making a change, I'm not making a difference. What would you say to that person to keep them motivated? Because everyone wants to feel like what they're doing, the seeds that they're planting, they're going to get a harvest from. So what would you say to that person that to motivate them to keep being themselves, although it is falling on deaf ears?
I would just tell you to keep on doing what you're doing. Just keep on doing. Don't give up. Because someone, sooner or later, it's not going to be on deaf ears all the time. Like I said before, it may be 100 years, man, for someone to look at this and say, look, I like that and I believe that. It may be 100 years. I'll be dead and gone. That's why I do things. My peers that I may look at on this earth may say, hey, you just wasting your time. You need to be doing something else. That's them. I mean, I expect that. I mean, I don't necessarily like it, but I expect those kind of things out of people. So, no, Stoker's going to be Stoker. I'm going to do what I need to do, or what I want to do, what I have passion to do. If it falls on deaf ears, okay, well, right now it does. Like I said, the about the Seminoles, the Black Seminoles. I just saw that. It's probably been less than a year ago, but it's been there forever. Right. I mean, we can go back to 1600s. Someone was writing and telling about the Black Seminoles. Yeah. And I just saw it a year ago. Right. I just found this probably some more things about. And in fact, I was in Tyler about 3 or 4 weeks ago. The first time I ever heard something. The guy was talking. He was a historian. He was talking. I was filming him after the Tyler Library. We filmed this black guy, and he told us the story about the burning of Dallas, about black slaves, about why they was going to kill them, but now we can't kill all of them because we need someone to pick the cotton. But they did kill 3. And he thought they killed them right there where John F. Kennedy was killed in that area. up there in Dallas right now. I really hadn't heard about that story, but somebody kept up with the story. I got to hear it, and I tell it. And you can Google it. you can Google it, and it's right there. So that's going back to that technology we was talking about. Is it beneficial? Is it good? Yeah. It's good and bad. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of things you can Google up. If you hear, just hear about it. Google it. It'll be on there. You can find it. So no, technology is good and bad.
Yeah, yeah. They lucky they got Google. I remember when there wasn't no Google. No, you had to go and get it. You had to go. So you had to get it. Right. Yeah, that Google is a blessing to them. Do you see any progression in the black community?
In what way? In what way, ma'am?
Just in general, do you see us progressing as a whole? Do you see us progressing in our communities, our self-care, our love for each other, the way we're raising our children? Going back to the way you grew up with your 12 people of your family and the connection that y'all had in that little small community and that love, do you see any progression from that time to now with the way we are in our communities, with our family, with ourselves?
No, I was going to be honest with you. The way I see it, man, individually, we do pretty good. But collectively, I don't think we do it good at all. I think we're sad collectively. We're a lot of individuals, so I think it's going to change. I still believe that. I still believe that one day, collectively, we're going to come together and we're going to move up.
I'm an optimist, too.
Yeah, I just think that's going to happen. But right now, you got to do what you got to do. I got to do what I got to do. Active going to do what he got to do. That's all we can do.
Do you think racism is still alive?
Racism, I think, will always be here. Always. To me, it's ridiculous to say racism don't exist. It'll always be here. I'll always be a black man. Mm-hmm. And it'll always be a white man, or a yellow man, or a red man. They'll always be here, and they're gonna be for their group. Not that they're hateful. Now, that don't mean that they're hateful people. That don't mean the white man is hateful. He might do some hateful things because he have no history. History has he done some hateful things. Mm-hmm. The Asian, blacks, we're gonna always be that. That don't mean we're hateful, but are we racial conscious? Yeah. Yes, man. Yeah, always. Now, just last night, my youngest daughter finally got married at a wedding out there in Nevada. I saw the pictures and everything, and she married a white guy. So he's going to have, luckily, he's going to be the grandparents of mixed children. Yeah. And if you talk to him, you think he was real racist. Oh, Lord have mercy. Is he being punished? Yeah. But he was walking down through that styling, though. So he's happy. He's happy for his daughter. He's happy for his son-in-law. Yeah. But he's a black man. He's a black man, but that don't mean he's a hateful black man. He's just a conscious black man. That's all. Just too much bad history has happened. You can't ignore it. It's there. It's happened. It's bad. It's awful. But I'm not hateful. You're not hateful. I don't mean you got to be hateful toward people.
I'm going to ask you a question that's kind of a lot off what we were supposed to be talking about, but I got to know your opinion on this. So where do you think critical race theory has its place, if it has one at all?
When we say critical race theory, it's a trick. Someone's always trying to slide something in, a piggyback. Yeah. Something in. Critical race theory, man. Look here, I think the blacks need to know what happened because those other books was just it was no good for black kids. I'll prove that. I'll tell you about the Seminoles and the race route, not the race route, but the burning of Dallas. There's so much we didn't get to know about, So it does need to be taught, but it's something else. We got other agendas. It's other agendas that they're using critical race theory because they know, oh yeah. But then you're trying to piggyback something else in there. It was LGBTQ. What it?
IDG.
Yeah, you're trying to piggyback stuff in there. Stand on your own, and let us judge you. Yeah. Don't put critical race theory in front, and you get behind them and push that. No, let me judge that. Let me judge this. Be fair to me. Amen. First of all, they're not doing that. So, But yeah, for you and I talking about critical race theory, I think history need to be taught different. I think it need to be taught like it is.
Amen.
You know, like the deal I was my documentaries. It need to be shown in all the schools on Black History. They have to give us 1 month Black History Month. Okay, that's okay, but show some Black History. And I don't believe in going back. We got to keep going back talking about Frederick Douglass. We got to keep going back talking about Harriet Tubman. We got to go back talk about George Washington Carver, Booker T. Washington, W.E.B. Du Bois. We got to talk about it. No, we can talk about what happened right here in Long Beach, Texas.
Amen.
That's Black history. Or I could talk about the PVIL. Explain like I just talking to you guys about it. That's history. Let's talk about that. You know, we don't have to reach way. I don't have to reach away to California, or Washington, or Chicago. I don't have to talk about. It's good, but it's some history right here that our children need to know about. They need to know about these black schools. They need to know about my experience that I had riding a school bus. All black kids, black driver, black community, black schools. We had those things back in the 60s. Let's talk about those.
Amen. Amen. It has been an honor for you to sit and talk to me, Mr. Stoker. I deeply appreciate it. Tell everybody where they can find your book, Foot Switch. Tell them where can they find this at?
Amazon,
online, I'm sure.
Amazon.com.
Amazon.com.
Just go to Amazon.com and you can order the book.
Okay.
Actually, Amazon.com, I don't really see a lot of the proceeds. So
okay.
I need to go ahead and order some books. I can order some books.
So where can they get a host to you? Where can the viewers
my phone
find
number.
you? Okay.
Just give my phone number, 903-238-6794. That's 903-238-6794. And my email address is Mandel Stoker, MandelStoker @yahoo.com. That's my email address. So if you need, just contact me by email, MandelStoker @yahoo.com.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Stoker. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you,
man.
sir.
Thank you.
Hey, man, thank y'all for tuning in for Storytelling with the Storyteller, Mr. Stoker himself. Thank you.